In the heart of Ibadan, where old stories still lived in the dusty roads and market songs, Chief Ton was a man everyone respected. A proud man with grey-streaked hair, a deep voice, and a wide smile. He owned 3 large textile shops and 1 hotel. People called him Baba Progress, and truly, it seemed as though everything he touched turned to gold. Beside him stood Mama Yejide, his wife of 18 years. Quiet, gentle, and strong in spirit. She helped the poor every week, fed orphans at the church, and never raised her voice. They had 2 children in the university, and many believed their home was blessed. But even the strongest homes can be shaken if the wind is strong enough. It began when Ton attended a business seminar in Lagos. Among the crowd of entrepreneurs and traders, one woman stood out, Zara. She was younger, elegant, with skin like smooth cocoa and eyes that danced with mystery. She was not from around, her accent hinted at a different background, and her name didn't belong to any local clan. She spoke with confidence and smiled just the right amount. Ton noticed her the moment she entered the room. And when their eyes met, she didn't look away. By the end of the event, she had become his colleague. She handed him a business card, Zara Styles, private fashion consultant. Ton chuckled. "Even my wife doesn't dress me," he said. Zara only smiled. "Maybe that's why you looked lost in that brown suit." Ton laughed, not knowing that a net had just been cast. Back in Ibadan, life continued as usual. Mama Yejide prepared his meals, prayed for him before work, and checked on the workers at the textile shop. She noticed small changes. Ton started coming home later. He smiled to himself while texting. And sometimes, when she entered the room, he quickly dropped his phone face down. At first, she convinced herself it was business stress. But stress doesn't wear cologne, and stress doesn't leave lipstick stains on shirt collars. Meanwhile, Zara played her game slowly. She never rushed him. She invited him to her boutique for fittings, sent him thoughtful messages like, "Don't work too hard, chief winking face," and always spoke with respect. Ton felt young again. Important. Wanted. And like many foolish men, he mistook temptation for affection. Within 2 months, Zara had become his escape. He bought her gifts, phones, gold earrings, perfumes, and sometimes visited her just to talk. He told himself it wasn't an affair. Not really. After all, he still came home to Yejide. But what he didn't know was this: Zara wasn't who she seemed. She had her own reasons for finding him. Her smile, her touch, her words, all carefully chosen for one purpose: to get close enough. And when she finally struck, the same man who thought he was in control would beg for mercy. But for now, Chief Ton was still dreaming. And his wife, Mama Yejide, was still praying. The storm had not yet started. But the clouds had begun to gather. Zara stared at her reflection in the mirror of her rented flat. Her flawless makeup, her elegant braids, her warm smile, all of it was a mask. Behind those eyes lived a fire that had burned quietly for years. She was not Zara. Her real name was Nena. She had left her village years ago, after tragedy swallowed her whole. Her sister, Chioma, had once worked as a junior accountant for Chief Ton's company. Chioma was quiet, brilliant, and full of hope. But one day, the hope was crushed. Chief Ton had accused her of stealing money, publicly, without a proper investigation. It had all happened so fast. Chioma denied it, but no one listened. Security dragged her out of the office like a criminal. Shame followed her home like a curse. The news spread through the town. People mocked them in the streets. And one rainy night, Nene found her sister's lifeless body hanging from a tree behind their compound. A note pinned to her chest read, "I didn't steal. But I can't bear the shame." Nena had screamed until her voice disappeared. She buried her sister with shaking hands. Her heart turned to stone. From that day, she vanished. No one knew where she went. But she had a plan. Not for justice, justice had failed them. Not for healing, healing was too far. No. She wanted something more direct. Revenge. She changed her name. Took odd jobs. Learned how to speak, dress, and walk like someone turned with desire. She created Zara, the beautiful fashion stylist who could charm any man. And when the seminar brought her face to face with Chief Tond, she smiled, because fate had done its part. Now, every touch, every compliment, every fake giggle, was part of her slow poison. She wasn't in a hurry. The deeper he fell, the more painful the fall would be. That night, she sat on her bed and opened the wooden box that held her sister's old photographs and the crumpled suicide note. Her fingers trembled as she ran them across Chioma's face. "Don't worry, Chioma," she whispered. "He will feel what you felt. 10 times worse." Back in Ibadan, Chief Tond had no idea what storm was brewing. He felt proud of himself, believing he had found something exciting and harmless on the side. A little spice to his life. He even joked with his friends, though he never used Zora's real name. "She's just fun. No stress. Doesn't nag." Unlike Ijait, he laughed. What he didn't know was that the woman he called Fun had memorized every detail of his life, his business secrets, his routine, even the name of his firstborn child. One day, while he was asleep, Zara quietly took his phone. She copied certain messages, snapped photos of sensitive documents, and returned it without a sound. She was building a case. Piece by piece. And soon, the mask would fall. But not yet. She still had a few moves left to play. Mama Ijad stood quietly at the doorway of their bedroom, watching Chief Tond as he laughed at something on his phone. His smile looked different lately, so private, so distant. He didn't even notice her standing there. She cleared her throat softly, and he quickly dropped the phone into his pocket. "Ijad, you need something?" he asked, avoiding her eyes. She forced a smile. "No, I was just checking if you'd like your dinner now or later." "Later," he said without thinking, already distracted. "I'm not too hungry." Ijad nodded and walked away, her chest tightening. She had noticed the change for weeks now. The silence, the long nights out, the sudden trips to Lagos he never used to take before. Her husband was drifting, and he wasn't hiding it well. Still, she held her peace. She had been raised to pray, to endure, to wait. But even the strongest rope breaks when pulled too hard. Later that week, she visited her niece, Edeora, who worked as a schoolteacher in town. Over hot pap and fried akra, Ijad finally opened her heart. "Edeora, I think your uncle is seeing someone else." Adeora's eyes widened. "What?" "Uncle Tond. But he always says you're his queen." Ijad looked down at her hands. A queen shouldn't be left alone every night. A queen shouldn't feel like a stranger in her own home. Edeora reached over and held her aunt's hand. "Have you talked to him?" "I can't," Ijad whispered. "Because if he admits it, I won't know what to do. And if he lies, I won't know what to believe." That night, Edeora made a bold suggestion. "Follow him. Just once. Not to confront him. Just to see the truth for yourself." Ijad was hesitant. But deep inside, she needed to know. The following Friday, Chief Tond told her he had a business dinner in town and wouldn't be home till late. Ijad nodded calmly, but her heart pounded as he left. Minutes later, she changed into a simple brown wrapper and scarf, called Edeora, and together they got into a cab and followed from a distance. Tond drove to a high-end restaurant near the city center. Through the glass, Ijad saw him. He wasn't alone. Zara sat across from him, laughing softly as he leaned in closer. Her dress was bright red. Her hand touched his. And his eyes, they had the same spark he used to have for Yejide. The sight nearly knocked the breath out of her chest. Edeora grabbed her arm. "Auntie, don't go inside. Let's go." But Yejide didn't move. She stood frozen, eyes burning with silent pain. After several minutes, she turned around and walked away. No words. Just tears. Back at home, Ton arrived later than usual. She served him food without speaking. He didn't notice her silence. He didn't care. That night, as he snored peacefully beside her, Yejide stared at the ceiling, wide awake. So this was it. Her fears were real. And the woman sitting across from her husband had eyes full of secrets. But Mama Yejide didn't know yet that she wasn't just another mistress. She was a storm. And it had just entered their home. The days that followed felt heavy like dark clouds hovering over Mama Yejide's heart. She moved about the house like a ghost, cooking, cleaning, and smiling when needed, but inside, her soul was cracking. Chief Ton continued his double life without shame. He even grew bolder. Sometimes he would return home smelling of perfume that wasn't hers. Sometimes his shirt had lipstick marks near the collar. When Yejide asked, he laughed. "Stop acting like a village woman," he said. "This is city life. People hug. It's nothing." But it wasn't nothing. It was betrayal. Every day, another needle in her heart. What Yejide didn't know was that Zara was not only capturing Ton's attention, she was also slowly poisoning his mind. Whenever they were together, Zara would ask small questions, sweetly and innocently. "Do you trust your wife? Has she ever lied to you? Do you think she really loves you, or just your money?" Ton would shake his head and say, "Yejide is a good woman." But the question stayed in his mind long after Zara was gone. Zara also started planting doubts. One day, she bought a man's wristwatch and wrapped it in a cloth. Later, when she visited Ton's house under the lie of delivering special clothes for a birthday surprise, she secretly slipped the watch into the bottom drawer of Yejide's wardrobe. Another time, she sent a fake message to Ton's phone pretending to be someone saying, "Your wife is always seen with that neighbor's son." Oh. Ton's thoughts grew restless. Was it possible? Could Yejide? No. But maybe. Zara never pushed too hard. Just enough to shake him. One afternoon, Mama Yejide found the wristwatch. She was confused. She had never seen it before. When she asked Ton about it, he flared up. "Why are you going through my things?" he barked. "Are you hiding something? You're becoming suspicious these days." Yejide stood still. Her lips trembled. "Ton, I only asked." "Enough," he shouted. "Maybe you're the one doing something behind my back." He stormed out, slamming the door, leaving her alone with silent tears dripping onto the floor. Meanwhile, Zara sat in her apartment and smiled. Everything was working. She was destroying him bit by bit, not with fire or blade, but with confusion, mistrust, and guilt. The same way her sister had been destroyed. Slowly. Silently. She remembered Chioma's soft voice. Her kind heart. Her laughter. All gone, because of Ton. He had blamed Chioma for theft without evidence. Publicly. He had ruined her. And he had moved on like nothing happened. But now he would feel it. Not just in his heart, but in his home. In his wife's eyes. In the confusion that would follow him like a shadow. That evening, Ton returned home but said nothing to Yejide. He ate in silence, avoided her gaze, and locked himself in the study. Yejide sat alone in the living room, staring at the old family photo on the wall. It showed a younger Ton, a joyful Yejide, and their two sons smiling. That smile had faded. She looked at the photo, then at the empty space beside her. Something was breaking. And she knew, if it wasn't repaired soon, there would be nothing left to save. Zara stood in front of the mirror, dressed in a simple white gown. Her usual bold makeup was gone. No bright red lips, no high heels, just calm, soft beauty. She looked at herself long and hard. Tonight was the night. Tonight, he would finally know who she really was. She set the table carefully, placing 2 wine glasses, scented candles, and a plate of his favorite goat pepper soup. Everything was ready. All her planning, all her patience, it had led to this moment. When Chieftain walked into the apartment that evening, he looked surprised. "Oh, Zara. You went all out tonight." She smiled gently. "For you, Chief. Sit. Eat." They sat across from each other. Ton felt something was different about her. She looked quieter. Sad, even. "Are you okay?" he asked. "I'm fine," she said. "I just want to talk." "Really talk?" He nodded. "Go ahead. I'm listening." She took a deep breath. "Do you remember a girl named Chioma?" Ton's forehead creased. "Chioma. That name sounds familiar. She used to work for you." "Accountant. Young. Soft-spoken." "This was years ago." He leaned back, frowning. "Oh yes. That girl. I fired her. She was stealing company money." Zara's face darkened. "Was she caught?" Ton hesitated. "Well, the numbers weren't adding up. And I didn't want scandal. So I dismissed her quietly." "What about her?" Zara placed a worn photograph on the table. Ton picked it up slowly. His face went pale. It was Chioma. Smiling. Innocent. Young. "I'm her sister," Zara said, her voice low and steady. "My real name is Nena." Ton dropped the photo. He stared at her. What are you saying?" "I've been in your life all this time not because I loved you," she continued. "But because you destroyed someone I loved. My sister." Ton's voice cracked. "But she stole from me." "She didn't," Nena replied. "She was loyal. She was scared. She begged you to believe her. You didn't even investigate. You shamed her. She took her life." "No," he whispered. "No. That can't be true." "It is. And now, you know." The silence in the room felt like a heavy blanket. The candles flickered, and outside, the wind whistled softly through the open window. Ton held his head in his hands. His body trembled. "Why didn't you tell me?" he finally asked, tears rising in his eyes. "Would you have listened?" Nena replied. "Or would you have lied again?" He couldn't answer. She stood up. "Now you know who your side chick really was. Not a lover. Not a toy. But a shadow from your past, waiting to return." Ton fell to his knees. "Please, forgive me. I didn't know. I swear. But Nena was already at the door. "I didn't come for forgiveness," she said quietly. "I came for truth." Then she walked out, leaving Ton alone with the weight of what he had done. The same hands that once wrote lies now shook with guilt. The proud man was broken. And the mask he wore for so long had finally cracked. Chieftain didn't leave his house for days. The walls that once echoed with his laughter were now filled with silence. He barely ate. His phone buzzed with missed calls, but he didn't answer any of them. The world outside continued moving, but inside his mansion, time had frozen. He kept staring at the photo Nena had left behind. Chioma's face smiled back at him from the past, so young, so innocent, so undeserving of what he had done. The truth cut deep. He had never imagined that one careless decision, firing a girl without proper proof, letting rumors destroy her name, would lead to death, and then revenge. And now, his side chick had turned out to be the ghost of his sins. In another part of the city, Mama Yejide stood in front of the bakery she had always dreamed of opening. It was small, with only 3 tables and the smell of fresh buns filling the air. But it was hers. Her heart was still heavy, but her spirit had begun to heal. After confronting the truth about Ton's betrayal, she decided she could no longer live in a house that didn't feel like home. She moved out quietly. No drama. No shouting. Just silence and dignity. The community supported her. Her niece Edeora helped with the baking. Neighbors came to encourage her. And slowly, Yejide began to smile again. One morning, a kind man named Emeka visited the bakery. A customer at first, then a friend. He was gentle, respectful, and always made her laugh without trying too hard. They spoke about life, healing, and second chances. Yejide wasn't ready to love again. But for the first time in a long while, she felt seen. Back at Ton's home, the news began to spread. A mysterious woman had exposed secrets. Photos were leaked. An anonymous letter about his past treatment of Chioma had reached the press. Business partners began to distance themselves. Clients withdrew. The once proud chief turned, Baba Progress, was now the subject of whispers and shame. His business began to crumble. Loyal staff quit one by one. His sons, away at university, called with disappointment in their voices. "Dad, is it true?" they asked. He had no answer. Guilt wrapped around him like a chain. He sat in the living room, looking at the door Nena once walked through. He remembered her laughter, her charm, her beauty. None of it had been real. Every moment was a setup. Every kiss, every touch, part of her plan. And yet, he didn't hate her. He hated himself. Nena had disappeared after the revelation. She left Ibadan without a word, choosing to start again somewhere far away. She needed space to breathe. Space to think. The revenge had been completed, but the victory felt empty. Yes, Tand was broken. Yes, he had paid. But Chioma was still gone. Nothing could bring her back. Nene found herself crying more now than before. Not out of pain, but out of everything she had bottled up for years. The sadness. The loss. The anger. The loneliness. One afternoon, she walked past a small community center with a sign that read, "Support Group for Grieving Women. All are welcome." She paused. Then she walked in. Maybe, just maybe, healing could begin here. Months passed like dry leaves blown by the wind. The once glorious chieftain now lived in a smaller house on the outskirts of Ibadan. His mansion had been sold to pay debts. His textile shops had collapsed under scandal. All that remained was his name, and even that had become a shadow of shame. But sometimes, shame is the beginning of something new. Ton had started attending therapy through a quiet church group. At first, he resisted. A man like him, strong, proud, powerful, was not supposed to cry in front of strangers. But when he did, the tears came like a flood. "I ruined a girl's life," he whispered one day. "She begged me to listen, and I didn't. And now, I'm the one begging." His counselor, an old man with kind eyes, listened quietly. "Guilt is heavy, Tand. But it can build or break you. The choice is yours." And so Ton chose. He began volunteering at the church food pantry. He spoke at youth seminars about workplace ethics and the danger of pride. He started a small foundation under Chioma's name to support young women in business. Each act was a step, not toward earning forgiveness from others, but toward becoming a man his own children could respect again. Meanwhile, Mama Yejide's bakery, sweet morning, had become more than just a shop. It was a haven. Women came there to laugh, cry, and share stories. Children played in the courtyard. Neighbors brought gifts and stayed for hours. Eugide had found peace in the warmth of flour and fire, in the aroma of chin-chin and meat pies. Emeka, the man with the quiet smile, stood by her every day. They had grown close, like two trees leaning on each other for balance. But Eugide was still cautious. After all, the wound Ton left was deep. One evening, while they were closing up the bakery, Emeka turned to her. "I know you're still healing, Eugide. But I'd be honored to walk beside you, no rush, no pressure. Just beside you." She looked at him, her eyes glistening. "Let's take it slow," she whispered. "But yes. Walk with me." Far from the city, in a coastal town, Nena had built something beautiful. Her support group, Voices Unbroken, met every week under a mango tree in the courtyard of a modest community center. Survivors of betrayal, grief, and injustice sat in a circle, sharing stories, holding hands, finding strength. Nena never introduced herself as the woman who brought down a powerful man. Instead, she told the story of her sister, Chioma, the girl with dreams, the girl who was silenced too soon. She helped others find their voice. And in doing so, she found hers. One day after a session, a soft-spoken man named Ifani approached her. He had lost his wife to postpartum depression and came every week just to listen. "You have a strong spirit," he told her. "But your eyes are tired." Nena smiled. "They've seen too much. But they are learning to rest." They became friends. Then companions. Then something more. And for the first time, Nena allowed herself to imagine a future that wasn't rooted in revenge, but in growth. One sunny morning, Ton stood outside Sweet Morning Bakery, holding a brown envelope in his hand. Inside were documents, a letter of apology, a copy of the Chioma Foundation registration, and photos from the recent workshop he held for young women. He had not seen Mama Eugide in almost a year. He stepped in. The smell of fresh bread greeted him. A young girl behind the counter blinked in surprise. "Can I help you, sir?" Ton nodded slowly. "Please, tell Mama Eugide someone from her past wants to speak." Eugide came out from the back, flower on her hands, her face calm. They stood facing each other, two souls shaped by time, pain, and choices. "I came to say thank you," Ton said. "For walking away. It forced me to face myself." She nodded, silent. He handed her the envelope. "I also came to ask for something, not your love, just your forgiveness." Eugide took the envelope, her fingers trembling slightly. "I forgave you a long time ago," she said. "Not for you, but for me. Carrying hate only makes the heart heavier. I needed space to breathe again." Ton's eyes welled up. "Thank you. Truly." He turned to leave, but paused. "You look happy. He must be a good man." Eugide smiled faintly. "He is. He sees me." And with that, Ton walked away, lighter than he had been in years. Months later, a beautiful ceremony was held under a large palm tree at the edge of Nena's town. She and Ifani exchanged simple vows, surrounded by survivors, friends, and the women of Voices Unbroken. Her eyes, once tired, now glowed with purpose. Emeka and Eugide were among the guests, their fingers gently laced together. They watched with soft smiles, knowing that pain had not won after all. Even Chief Ton attended, quietly, respectfully, standing at a distance. He never approached, but his presence was his way of saying, "I see you. I honor your healing." As the sun dipped into the ocean, the sky turned gold and orange. Laughter filled the air, drums played, and women danced with barefoot joy. And above them all, it felt as though Chioma smiled. Because in the end, what began as betrayal had become a path to healing. Not just for one, but for all.